Whenever you put something out into the public forum, people are invariably going to have an opinion on it, and often they're going to want to comment on it too. With our Tribal Nations MC videos, we often get a lot of comments, a lot of queries, a lot of confusion about what we are, what the club stands for, including recently someone suggesting that we were racist and a white-only club. I'll address that and others shortly. Recently somebody commented a concern that we patch up our wahine, or our women. Now, we're a social club with a social conscience. We have both men and women members who ride and put in the same mahi or work as each other. So it stands to reason that we would honour them equally. One of our kaupapas or initiatives is the White Ribbon Cause, which seeks to change outdated stereotypes about domestic violence, about male and female roles in the community and in the home. So it stands to reason that we would honour that cause by allowing both men and women to equally represent their club. Recently somebody else said, you recruit for months to be able to wear the front and then the back set for your club, and you also pay yearly fees into that club. That sounds like a gang to me. So personally, and I think I've said this before, I'm not big on using the term gang to describe, well, any group of people really, because it can be inflammatory. But I do use it to try and differentiate between perhaps a criminal element or a 1% element versus Tribal Nations and what our club stands for. Often Joe and Jane Public will ask, are you a gang? And their interpretation of what a gang is, it doesn't align with what we are as a club. So those terms, which, let's be honest, the media has used the term gang to really suggest violence, criminality, intimidation, that sort of thing. And that's definitely not what we're about. Also, just like any club, we have yearly fees that we pay into Tribal Nations to support the life and work of our regional and national club. Basically, it helps us fund the work that we do within the community, whether that be things like suicide first aid courses, even putting together food hampers for needy families. Any club has monetary needs, and basically it helps keep the lights on. Another comment recently was, everybody knows that the good works in the community is just a front for the criminal element going on behind the scenes. Now, that's a tough one for me, because often the people that say those sorts of things, they have a very firm opinion that that's what's going on. All I can say is that for Tribal Nations, that couldn't be further from the truth. Behind the scenes, our members go about their mahi or work as retail staff, as truck drivers, engineers, insurance office workers, all sorts of positions of value within the community. They play sports, they raise their families. In the time that Rel and I have been with the club as guests, and now more recently as members, we've seen zero evidence of any kind of criminality going on. And in fact, we've heard the cautionary tales about members in the past that have perhaps stepped out of line and have been removed from the club quite swiftly. And now for the main event. This is a comment that is so far removed from who we are as a club that I really kind of think that it's some low-key trolling going on. But this person wrote it, so I'm going to acknowledge it and I'm going to speak into it. I'm just going to read it from my phone so I can read it word for word. My question is, why is Tribal Nations preaching goodwill and acceptance of all except they are a New Zealand white group of motorcycle riders? You practice Māori traditions, yet you're a full white club. Sounds not very accepting to me. Whites not accepting blacks, blacks not accepting whites. Until we have more clubs who stop seeing colour and see just human beings who want to have fun riding bikes, then there will always be hate. I don't necessarily know where to start with this, but you did get one thing right. We are a group of human beings who want to have fun riding bikes. All of the rest, confusing. I'm not sure if you've only just watched one video, but if you just scratch the surface, even just a little on Tribal Nations, you'll know that it was built on a foundation of a tribe of all nations and a nation of all tribes. We have members who are of Maori descent. We have members who are of European descent, Malaysian descent, Indian descent, Chinese descent, Pacific Island descent. The list goes on. I'm wondering perhaps if you aren't familiar with what a Maori looks like, but I'm happy to say that we don't have a racist doctrine in our constitution. Hopefully that's cleared up a few things about what our club stands for. I would encourage anybody who has questions just to dig a little deeper, do a little bit more research before you go off suggesting that we are something when even a cursory look would suggest that we aren't.